What's going on, everybody? We're going to continue getting after it. Launch monitor mastery. Let's do this. What's going on, everybody? Scott Hogan coming at you. We're here. We are in the studio. We are going to continue getting after it, becoming a launch monitor master. So if you missed the first series of videos, that was on low point. I will link that video. Go watch it. That is #1 out of our 5-part series here that we are working on, and they are going to be building on top of each other. They are in a specific order for a reason, okay? So if you did not watch our video on low point, go do that first, and then you are coming back here to watch today where we talk about swing direction or horizontal swing plane, depending on which launch monitor you use. Before we do that, make sure if you're interested, we got coaching and everything at the Scott Hogan Golf website. Make sure you head over there and check it out and click that subscribe button. We have plenty more coming up, reviews, new products, PGA shows coming, so make sure you do not miss out on all of that. All right, so let's get into horizontal swing plane. So this is one I've been kind of, bouncing back and forward with. I was like, man, I don't know, what's the easiest way to explain it? Because it's a very complex topic, right? It's a very complex topic, one that can be very challenging to grasp at first. So I think what we've decided to do is we're just going to kind of break it down, and then I'm going to send you with some challenges to start looking at it for yourself, okay? So let's start off first with what is horizontal swing plane or swing direction. All right, so horizontal swing plane, also known as swing direction on TrackMan. Now, if you have a Foresight launch monitor, I don't actually think they give you this number, so that's kind of unfortunate, but if they do, comment down below. I'd love to see what it is. I know they give you path, but that is not the same thing here. Horizontal swing plane is what I think people usually are thinking about when they think of swing path, right? Because what it is if I have a golf club here and I've got my swing plate set up, okay, and we see that plane is set up, right? We have a golf club that's set on this kind of inclined plane. Well, that plane goes from about halfway down or 3/4 of the way down through impact, okay? That's going to create a plane, all right? What that will be is what your swing direction is, where that plane points. So if I had it pointed straight ahead and this stick on the ground, essentially that's the orientation of the plane, was straight ahead, you'd see a swing direction of 0. If you started shifting it to the right, so when I'm coming down, going this to this, you would start seeing a massive out to the right swing direction, okay, and vice versa. You would see it, okay, this one's going to look a little bit more normal, going through and through. I've got a much more left swing direction, right? So essentially swing direction or horizontal swing plane is the entire direction that you're traveling without angle of attack, if angle of attack was 0. Okay, if there's just a flat on the ground line, hey, this is where the plane of your swing is going. Now, how does that differ from club path? Well, club path is a sum of different parts, right? Horizontal swing plane being one of those, all right? Low point being one of those. Those are the numbers that are going to influence that club path, okay? Club path is also just an instantaneous number. When is that number being read, right? So with TrackMan, it's when the ball is being max deformed. With FlightScope, it's at first touch. With Foresight, it's actually right before first touch when they measure it. So that does give you different numbers and readings as you go through, okay? That would be, for example, that gives Foresight, where they are reading, it gives that club path number more of a draw bias, all based on where the reading is coming from. It gives TrackMan, it's going to have more of a leftward swing path of club path, right? Because of where they're measuring it, okay? Same thing with the horizontal swing plane. You're going to see that. So horizontal swing plane is just, hey, am I swinging this way, swinging this way, right? Am I swinging to the right? Am I swinging it to the left? Now, here's where it gets really interesting as we look at this, okay? If we are swinging really close to zero, okay? If we're swinging really close to zero, what you actually would see for a lot of players is, because of how the plane works, by the time you're coming back up and through, that swing path, okay, that swing direction is going to be usually to the left. However, most players that are hitting draws will still have a swing direction to the left. Let me say that again. You can have a swing direction to the left and still hit draws. That is because it depends on where the lowest point of your swing is. That's why we work on that first, okay? If I have a low point that's more forward, I'm going to be catching the ball on the downward side of the arc. That downward side of the plane, that path is swinging more out to the right. So swing direction has its own kind of value to it, and it's actually the one thing that we can work on and say, hey, your swing direction, you can manipulate that and work on that and change it and get some different results. Just like you can change your low point and get different results. It's the number that you can actually say, hey, this is where things are coming from. So I think the best thing we can do is let's try and hit some shots here. Okay, so I'm going to hit a few. I'm going to keep my plane here just for fun. Okay, so got a 1.1 to the left on a swing direction here, okay? So let's take a look at this shot, okay? So again, we are hitting that ball with a club that is traveling, that plane is traveling a little bit to the left of target, which in traditional thought, traditionally people are thinking, oh, that's gotta be a fade. But when we go through our numbers and we actually take a look at that shot, we're actually going to see that ball moving to the left, okay? Now, again, there's going to be other considerations for how the ball ultimately curves, but, you know, one being the face, right? But we can see, hey, I've actually have a swing direction that is capable of hitting a draw, and we can verify that by looking at the club path number. Even though I'm 1.1 to the left, I actually have a club path that is 1.5 to the right, and that has everything to do with that angle I am traveling down in the ball. And this is where you see this swing in Flight Scope, you see this in, you do see this in TrackMan, you do see a version of this in Foresight. So what you have is the idea that how much I'm going down is going to affect that club path number, right? We can get a visual representation of that, and we can move it around, kind of see our plane, okay? You're also seeing this now in the video as you're looking at your swing, okay? Here's our attack down, okay? You can see where you're going, vertical plane, there we go. And we can kind of take a look at that 3D world of the swing, okay? Again, it is slightly curving to the left, that plane, but again, because of where I'm catching it on the arc, it's going to create a draw, even though we have a swing direction to the left, okay? So let's do another one here. Let's just hit another one. Okay, horizontal plane, 1.6 to the left, path, 0.5 to the right. Again, another draw that was hit. Spin axis is 1.9 to the left. So slight draw, it's probably just a little left of the line as we go. Let's take a look. Yep, started pretty much on the line, just fell to the left of the line, okay, as we go through the shot. So what do we learn and why is this important to know, right? Like, hey, Scott, why don't I just hit club path? Well, the big thing is you have to, when you're breaking down your numbers, if you say, hey, my club path is off, well, is it off because your low point's in the bad spot? Is it off because, hey, maybe your ball position's off, right? Are you catching the swing on the bad part of the arc, okay? Are you swinging to the left too much or to the right too much? Which one is it? So again, we like to take a look at certain numbers because then we can get the proper numbers through our training, right? So the biggest thing that people are going to ask, and they're going to say, all right, well, where is it supposed to be? And that's going to be an interesting one because that's going to depend, right? Very, very individual for a player. But here's what I want to leave you with on this topic, okay? If I'm going to hit straight shots, let's just say this. If I want to hit the ball straight and I'm hitting a lob wedge, okay, let's say you want to hit it straight throughout the whole bag. I'm hitting a lob wedge. My swing direction is typically going to be somewhere in the 5, 6, 7 to the left range for a right-handed player. It's going to be typically that far to the left because you are hitting down on it more. You have more shaft lean. You have the angle of attack. The low point's more forward. Ball position's back, right? All of those things come into play. If you're near your mid-irons, going to be about 4 to 5 degrees to the left. If we're moving up to the driver and you want to hit it straight, you now need to hit the ball with 2 to 3 degrees to the right with that swing direction. Again, because you are moving the ball position, angle of attack, how you're approaching hitting a driver, all of those things, right? So that's something that we need to look at as we're going through, right? If you want to hit the ball straight, a lot of people say, I just want to hit it straight and I don't want to have to do, too much. Well, when you try to hit it straight, because of the way golf clubs are designed and the way we hit them and all the challenges that they have with each individual club, you can't swing the same way and hit all of the clubs straight. You have to be adjusting where that low point, where that swing direction is going, which is why we work on that. So how are you going to adjust your swing direction? What are some of the keys that you look at? Well, here's what I have people do when we need to. Let's say, again, the most common issue is people swing way too far to the left and they slice the ball, right? Well, let's say you want to move it more out to the right, your swing direction. A couple of things that we'll do. One, we can move the ball back a little bit. Two, when we're going through, I like to feel like people are going to be getting this lead shoulder more out in front of the ball, so they're catching the ball more on the bottom or the descending part of the arc. That helps with low point as well. If you're somebody that's, let's say you're trying to clear out your hips, clear out your shoulders, what happens is you get here and then you start to move this way. This shoulder is actually moving backwards, moving that swing direction to the left. So for a lot of people, when they say, oh, I got to clear my hips and do all this, that's actually not the answer for what they are looking for. So what we would like to see is forward and keeping that shoulder as far forward as you can to get that swing direction out to the right. You might have to feel like you tilt more, okay? Get yourself side bending a little bit more to pull it off. You do have to work on making sure you don't hit it fat when you do that. It can happen, or thin. So you do want to work on that. But those are going to be a couple of the main ways that we do it. And then there can be some influence from vertical swing plane, which we will be talking about. And some of those, how is the shaft of the club coming in? Am I coming in vertical, where the club's going to want to move more to the left, or am I flatter, letting that club work out as we go? So let's go ahead. I'm going to try to hit one. Let's just really work on keeping those shoulders a little bit more in front as we go. And there we go. We got a swing direction of 1.0 to the right, which for a long iron or for a short iron, that's going to be pretty significant. That ball is going to be moving pretty good to the left, I would imagine. Okay, so I would need to be making sure that ball starts right as we go. So those are some of the keys that I would look at when we talk about this number. Really important number, one that you're going to want to make sure you explore a little bit. Biggest thing is try to hit shots, see where you can get to. The biggest takeaway I want you to have is that you need to have a variety of swing directions to be able to hit the ball where you want to, okay? So don't think, hey, I've got to be consistent and every club's got to be the same. The biggest thing that you can look at is when you have a club, okay, when we look at pros, their swing direction is within about 1.5 degrees. The best players, plus or minus 1.5 degrees from kind of a baseline when they're hitting a specific club. Now it's going to change for every club, but they hit all of the clubs pretty consistently as they're going through. So You want to make sure you're working on that. Again, 10 handicap, that number is going to be closer to plus or minus 4. Okay, so getting an idea of what these are, working on those keys, and seeing if you can maneuver that is going to make you a better ball striker. It's going to make you have more control and have true understanding of how this all this plays together, so you can make really good contact and make the ball do what you want it to do, which is how we all shoot lower scores. So if you have questions about it, I know this is a big one, leave comments down below. I will try to get to as many as I can. We also have more coming up. Again, we have 3 more of these coming up, trying to educate you about what's really going on with the launch monitor so you have better control. So click that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber already. And as always, we have our live shows and everything coming up, so make sure you do not miss out on those. Love having people in there chatting and commenting and all of that good stuff. So thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.